Showcasing local talent, professionals, and everyday people making Salt Lake City what it is today. It's time for another episode of the I Am Salt Lake podcast.
I want to welcome everybody out today to episode 228 of I Am Salt Lake podcast. My name's Chris Hollifield.
And I'm Chrissy Shelley.
We got a great show today. Today on the podcast, Tom Bennett returns to the show. I have a great conversation with him. I get a chance to catch up, find out what he's up to, what it is, life on the road is all about, as well as an upcoming Colorado Music Festival that he's doing October 15th in Hilldale. Great conversation. I'm going to be getting into that here in just a minute. I want to tell you about our show sponsors, Oleo Skin and Beard, great local company located right here in Salt Lake City. Oleoskin.com is their website. Head on over there, check out their beard oils, their beard balms, beard soap. They also have skin oils and all kinds of great products to help soften the beard and soften the skin and keep you clean. Again, their website, oleoskin.com. Use the promo code IAMSaltLake at checkout, and it will give you 25% off of your entire purchase. They also have a list of all of the events that they're going to be at this summer, including the Downtown Farmers Market. That opened up this weekend. I know Chrissy and myself, we're going to get into that at the end of this episode.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we got a lot to talk about. Like you said, like I told you before, a lot of changes happening in the world of I Am Salt Lake. So again, stay tuned for after the episode. We're going to be talking more about Oleo. I also want to tell you about another brand new podcast called City Stories. It's all about helping potential movers understand the cities that they're headed to. They're starting right here in Salt Lake City. They have a really cool pilot episode. Check it out. Search iTunes. Search City Stories in iTunes. Subscribe to it. Check out the podcast. Give it a listen. You can rate and review it right there in iTunes. Give them a good rating. I know it'll help Salt Lake City out. Fantastic pilot episode. Some of their newer episodes that they're working on that they're going to be putting out are going to be kind of targeting specific topics, including Salt Lake City neighborhoods, the Silicon Slopes phenomenon, gay culture here in Salt Lake City. Head on over to soundcloud.com/City Stories. It's also available in iTunes, so search City Stories right there. You can rate and review it in iTunes, as well as subscribe to it. City Stories is produced by Move.org, and I want to thank them for sponsoring I Am Salt Lake podcast. A few other sponsors of the podcast, if you've been following along, we have a GoFundMe going on right now, some different ways to help the podcast out. We're going to be getting into that later on in the episode after the conversation with Tom Bennett. But I want to give a shout out to some other sponsors of this episode. Tara Norton. I want to also give a shout out to Salt Roads. Saltroads.com is their website. Check it out. They're doing all kinds of cool things regarding Salt Lake City, some different, highlighting some different events coming to town. I also want to give a shout out to Alan Martindale from Dog and Deuce Show, dogandeuce.com, another great podcast here in Salt Lake City. And one more sponsor for this episode, Kristen Macy. Hopefully I'm pronouncing your name right. I want to thank them for donating to the GoFundMe that we have going on for I Am Salt Lake. And again, we're going to be talking more about that after the conversation with Tom Bennett. One last time, hey, this is the last episode. This upcoming week is Crucial Fest here in Salt Lake City. You've been hearing me talk about it. If you've been subscribing to the podcast, you've heard me talk about them. I've had an opportunity to have 3 bands that are doing reunion shows, Ether, Form of Rocket, and New Transit Direction, all doing reunion shows at Crucial Fest. That's going to be going on this week. Starts this week, June 15th through the 18th. A handful of different venues here in Salt Lake City. Head on over to crucialfest.com and find out all about Crucial Fest. There's links for the individual events. Find out about all the bands playing it. You can buy your tickets right there online. Get a wristband, though. I mean, this is an event that you want to get a wristband to, and make sure you hit up all of the bands, all of the shows. I should be at the Form of Rocket as well as the New Transit Direction shows happening Friday and Saturday here in Salt Lake City. So again, crucialfest.com is going to give you all of the Crucial Fest 6 information. Like I said, Tom Bennett's on this episode. I know you're a big fan of Tom Bennett's, aren't you, Chrissy?
Oh, man, I love Tom Bennett.
Yeah, you've gone to...
He's an amazing one-man band.
Yeah, well, one-man band, really, truly is. You've gone a few times to go see him at...
a few of his shows.
I believe it's the Copper Onion right down there in downtown.
And his voice is so phenomenal.
Well, we're going to play a song here. He actually recorded when I sat down and had a conversation with him. It's If I Could Die Anywhere. So we're going to play that right now, and then we're going to jump into the conversation that I had with him. So stay tuned for that. And also, after I'm done talking to Tom, Chrissy's going to come back on the podcast, and we're going to do some chatting.
We're going to talk a little bit.
Yeah. So here's that conversation I had with Tom Bennett. Thanks for listening.
If I could die anywhere, you know I'd die somewhere in Salt Lake City. Somewhere so beautiful, so pretty, where I could see people falling in love, in the most beautiful scenery you could ever dream of. If I could die anywhere, you know I'd die somewhere in Pioneer Park, where I saw a young girl sharing bread with an old man in the dark. Poplar seeds flew over your head. We shared love, who was now yet dead. I died by you, oh baby, if you'll be there like you used to do. Baby, like you used to do. Said just the other day, let me tell you something before you walk away. Let me give you a little advice. Maybe the best you've had in your life, he said. If you stay true to anything, if you stay true to anything, let it be the wide-eyed wonder of a child. Live your life with a sense of poetry. And don't be afraid to go a little bit wild. Go a little bit wild, yeah. Go a little bit wild, won't you go a little bit wild? Go a little bit wild, won't you go a little bit wild? my friend, before he went away. He said, listen up, boy, I've got something to say to you. If I could die anywhere, you know I'd die somewhere in Salt Lake City, under a bright blue Utah sky.
That was awesome, man. So anyway, let me find out. I jotted down here when I had you on the show, you were back. When do you think it was? Do you have any idea the date when you were on the show the first time?
I don't know. It was it must have been around 2 years ago.
Yeah, you're close. March 30th, 2014.
Yeah.
At least that was when the episode posted.
Uh-huh.
So it was probably, a couple weeks prior to that. What have you been up to since then? I mean, I guess that's a loaded question.
A lot, man. It's been wonderful. It's been some of the best years of my life. For an already wonderful life, it's been great.
You've been touring.
I've been touring a lot. Since back then.
Because at that time you were living in Salt Lake.
Yep. And I was probably just barely getting started, maybe like 6 months into playing guitar, and
really?
I'd probably, so I would have just gotten home from the first tour, I believe, with Tony Holiday and Jordan Young. We toured all the way to Georgia and back. And since then, I've pretty much stayed on the road. I've now toured 43 states, many of them multiple times. And I think the show that I played the day before yesterday, if my math is correct, was show number 1006.
Wow. You're documenting, like journaling every show?
Not really. I just went back and I did some counting because somebody asked me how long I'd been playing, and I told them, and they said, well, how many shows? And I figured, well, I've been doing about 300 shows a year since I started. And then I went back and did the math, and it was somewhere around 1,000 at that point. So
what took you from Salt Lake to St. George? I'm curious of that one.
Just touring, I love Utah. I think Utah is the prettiest state in the country, and I've been to a lot of them, and they've all got things that make them interesting and unique and beautiful. But Utah's just kind of got the full picture, especially like ecology wise. The mountains, the deserts, the prairies. It's got it all. And I toured through most of the U.S., and I was coming back through Arizona, New Mexico, coming up through the Southwest, and I was just on this high. I'd been seeing so many beautiful places. It was winter a year and a half ago, and I saw the Grand Canyon for the first time unexpectedly. I didn't know where the Grand Canyon was, and I stopped for gas, and this lady says, "Are you going to see the Grand Canyon?" And I said, well, where's it at? She said, 10 minutes down the road. So I had half a day and I went to the Grand Canyon. And then between the Grand Canyon and St. George is highway, I think it's 89A. And it's one of the prettiest stretches of highway anywhere. It's nothing but Vermilion cliffs, they call them. These huge red cliffs like Zion National Park type stuff. There's this really strange place called Cliff Dweller where a lady's car broke down in the 1920s, and she just ended up building a house out of some rocks and staying there, and it's right on the side of the road. And it's a really strange stretch of highway. It's really beautiful. And then at the conclusion of this kind of stretch of highway is St. George. And by the time I got there, I was just floored with it. And ended up meeting a girl there who I stayed in communication with, and we're now engaged to be married and getting married in a couple weeks, like June 4th, like
wow.
a month, something like that.
You nervous and excited?
No, we're pretty prepared. I'm excited. We've got everything ready. We're going to tour from St. George, leaving this weekend, all the way to Georgia with a band called Gleewood out of Ruidoso, New Mexico, and get married June 4th. Do a honeymoon down on the Georgia coast, tour all the way back to Seattle, all the way back down to San Diego and back to Utah. So we won't get back till probably around August 1st.
She tours with you, right?
Yeah.
She goes on the road with you.
She
you
does.
and the dog.
Mm-hmm.
What's the dog's name again?
Little Okie.
Little Okie.
Yeah.
Share that. How did you meet how did you get the dog, man? I've heard it a few times, but let's do it here for the recording.
Sure. So I was on a tour through parts of the country I hadn't really been through. I was going through, coming out of Colorado, heading into Kansas and Texas Panhandle region, Oklahoma, that whole area.
Yeah.
And it was really, I'd been on the road for a long time at that point, completely by myself. And it was really a good experience. I kind of had got to this point where I was spending about 5 to 6 hours a day driving. Then I'd play a show, and then I'd drive, and I'd play a show. And it was a lot of time alone with your thoughts. So I started focusing a lot on controlling what I was thinking about.
Really?
And making sure that all the thoughts I had were just focused on gratitude, being in the moment, looking out the window and taking in the scenery and really, really being there. But as great as that was, there was also a sense of loneliness that had started to develop. And because I was on the road for 3 months in the dead of winter, completely alone. You know what I mean? So I got to Tulsa, Oklahoma. I'd never been there before. I had a great show there. And the next day, I was just sleeping in my van in a Walmart parking lot, as I often do if I don't know somebody in an area. And it was Black Friday, and I said, well, I'm just going to go in this Walmart and to see what kind of craziness ensues, you know? So I went inside and had kind of been entertaining the idea of adopting an animal, a dog or something, you know? And as I was walking in, there was this Navajo man sitting out front on a rug, and he kind of waved me over and he says, hey, man, you want a puppy? And I was just thinking, well, yeah, I might be interested in that. What do you got there? And he says, these are dingoes. I'm like, what are you talking about, dingoes? He says, they're American dingoes. They're a kind of dog that, you know, were brought by the people that came over the Bering Strait in ancient times. And so us Indians, we've become, you know, we take care of these dogs because they're Indian dogs.
Sure.
And I said, well, that's pretty cool. And what do you got? And he says, well, there's 6 of them here. And I looked in this box he had, and right then this little tiny female runt dog looked up at me, and she was cute. She's only 8 weeks old. And I thought, give me a minute to think about this. So I went and walked around for a minute, and I came back and I took the dog, and he just gave her to me. And because we were in Oklahoma, I just named her Oklahoma, and she went by Little Okie. And she's with me all the time. We ride all around the country, and most of the time she'll come sit on the stage when I play, and she's just a wild little dog.
Dude, one of the best behaved dogs.
She's
okay. I was watching. Well, I mean, I was watching your dog. You played Craft Lake City. A few weeks ago. Or was it recently? And I was just watching the dog, and I'm like, no other dog would just sit there like that.
She's really loyal. If she can see me, she's happy. You know, so she likes to be just right there, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. She's got a lot of personality, though. I mean, her whole life has been spent on the road. People comment on how much she loves to see people, you know, and she'll remember you. You know, if she meets you, she'll remember you and come up all excited every time you come around. And she, the first big town I took her to was Denton, Texas. And we got there for their Christmas celebration. And I was there for 3 days. And again, I didn't know anybody. So I just kind of walked around town, made friends, checked out all the little shops and stuff. And they had this like wassail tasting, Christmas, tree lighting experience where everybody in town came out. It's really cool. And there were about probably 3,000 to 4,000 people in the town square for solid 3 days, just hanging out, having fun. And the dog got petted by probably everybody there. So after that, she's just always loved people. And, you know, she's great to tour with. She'll hike anything, swim anything, climb any mountain, whatever I do, she's there.
And you might have mentioned your fiance. She travels with you too sometimes? Or
yeah, most of the time.
Most of the time?
Yep. Yeah, she, all the long tours and everything like that, she's gone with me. It was really funny. Like, I'm kind of a firm believer in the idea of actualizing or manifesting.
Sure.
You know, if you think about something, you know, with the right intention and the right feeling, accompaniment, the things can happen in your real life. And as I was mentioning to you before, when I came out of northern Arizona through the Vermilion Cliffs, Grand Canyon, up through Colorado City, up into St. George, I called my mom and I was talking to her on the phone about all the beautiful things I was seeing, just kind of excitedly rambling. Well, Mom, I'm in the Grand Canyon. There's Vermilion Cliffs. There, you know, just, you know, telling her about all this cool stuff. And she was like, man, that's amazing. Is it rough seeing it all alone? And I said, yeah, kind of. I said, I need to meet a woman who just wants to have adventure and who will just get in this creepy old van with me and take off with me. And literally the next day, I played this place called Jazzy's down in St. George, and I had all these owl feathers at my merch booth, and they blew across the floor. And this beautiful woman stopped and picked them all up, and she turned and looked at me, and I came up and thanked her. And later in the night, I didn't realize it, but she left a letter in the merch case for me. And I didn't know anything about it. It was hidden. She did it on purpose. She hid it. And all it said was, I enjoyed your music, and it was nice to meet you, and I hope you travel safely, you know. And I asked her friend about her and totally like creeped her on Facebook when looked up who she was and sent her an email saying, you know, I'd like to talk to you again. You know, we only met briefly. And she said, oh, did you find my letter? I said, I have no idea what you're talking about. And she's like, really? Then how did you end up contacting me? I'm like, I just felt like I should. So she had left me a letter that I didn't find, and her friend introduced me like via social media. We just started talking on the phone. The next time I came through town, I asked her if I could take her out to dinner, and she told me no.
Really?
And I said, well, okay, we've been talking. I thought, you know, we could do something together. She's like, no, I do want to do something, but I don't want to go out to dinner. I said, well, what do you want to do? And she's like, I want to go out into the desert and make a huge bonfire. I was like, that sounds even better. So we went out in the desert, we built a bonfire, and sat around and talking late into the evening. And then I drove her back to her house, and I went back out to the desert. And the next day or so, sometime right after that, I said, look, I'm leaving town in 3 or 4 days. You should come with me. And she did.
Right on,
Yeah.
man. That's a hell of a story.
It was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. No, man, that's, I haven't heard that story yet. So
Yeah. Now we've been engaged for a year and a half, and we'll get married June 4th.
And you're getting married in Georgia or on the road again?
Yeah.
I know you mentioned it at the beginning when we were chatting. But
Yep, we're getting married. So I grew up on a small farm called Eagle Crest, west of Atlanta, and it's one of the most dear places to me. You know, it kind of is the foundation of who I am. I spent all my childhood there, and it's very isolated out in the woods, beautiful place. So I took her there about a year ago on my birthday to see it, and we just decided we'd get married there. So my family still lives there, and her family's all from Seattle. Mine's from Georgia. We live in Utah, so we're just we're doing it there, and then we're gonna have a second reception in Seattle, which we're gonna tour all the way out there to do.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of all this, I want to lead right into the Colorado City Music Festival.
Yeah.
This is like your baby, right? This is, where should we start with that? I mean, where's a good place to start with that? Because I mean, this is a heck of a story.
It is. It's really, it's a really amazing thing that's going to be happening. So kind of what led up to this whole Colorado City Music Festival is when I was living in Salt Lake, even at the time that I came on your show last, I was starting a thing called Sweet Salt Records. And my original intention was to unify Salt Lake area, like Americana, folk, singer-songwriter type performers, and just start a record label where we could all work together to build a scene. And I heard a lot of people talking about how they weren't getting paid fairly to play shows. And we just wanted to create something that was a little concrete, you know, like an industry standard and anything. And get it going like that, whatever. So when I got on the road, I started meeting a lot of great musicians that were touring like I was. You know, people that just have a lot of integrity, the kind of people that tour like I do, where you stay in people's homes, you camp out, you just kind of wing it, and you meet people, and you make close friends on the road. The kind of musicians that say things like, we don't have fans, we have friends, you know? And that's the mentality I share. So I met people like that, and we've turned Sweet Salt Records into more of, we call it a co-op. It's really like a network. It's not a traditional record label in the sense of, you know, we have a studio, come in, we're going to put out your album and market it to the masses kind of a thing. What we do is we find these people who match the description I just gave you, and we will extend an invitation to share information. For example, if someone wants to come tour Utah and I want to tour New Mexico, I'll say, let's help each other. And they go, okay, well, here's, you know, a contact in Santa Fe. I go, okay, so here in return is a contact in Salt Lake City. and then it works out for both of us, and then it escalates. Well, here's a show already booked. You just need to come play. Everything's already arranged, the money, the place to stay. Okay, well, then here's the same for you. And once we get to that point, we can tell that these people have the kind of integrity that we want to work with and the musical talent. So around that point, we usually invite them to join Sweet Salt Records. So it's a loose affiliation. There's no contracts. It's all handshake agreements. And by that point, if they join that network, they're expected to offer all of their information to the network, but in return, they have access to all the information of everybody else that's already in the network. So they may give 30 to 40 contacts, but they're now going to have access to hundreds of contacts around the United States.
Seems like a win-win.
It really is. And the way we've done it, it's kind of a trial, like not a strict trial period, but we test the integrity that people we're getting involved with. So by the time we invite them to join, we're already close friends. So most of these people who are part of it are going to be coming out to Georgia to my wedding. Some of us tour together at times. We talk on the phone multiple times a week, share information. We've got affiliates in New Mexico, namely the band Gleewood that I'll be touring with this summer. They're a phenomenal husband and wife folk duo. We've got people in Roswell, New Mexico. We got a guy in Sweden now, Pacific Northwest, all through Colorado. There's probably about Louisiana. There's probably about 10 or so artists that are affiliated in different levels, and still some in Utah as well that we're very close with. Tony Holiday and the Velvetones, Jordan Young, Candy's River House, Highway Thieves up in Ogden, Blackus. There's a whole bunch of Utah musicians that know that they have access to the information as well because they have that integrity and that musical standard.
So, but then what led that into the music festival?
So the music festival, Sweet Salt Records got asked last year to be the booking agent for the Granary Row concert series.
Okay.
So I put together all of the music for that last year. Just, pulling from local talent and people I'd met on the road coming through on tour. So from that, I learned how to put together, at least the booking aspects of a festival. Now, putting together the full on, all the little details, all the technicalities that it goes to making a music festival happen, that's a whole different arena. But I decided to take that on because, as I talked about last time I was on the show, I had a little bit of a background with Mormonism, and at one point was kind of going into fundamentalist Mormon territory. I had a belief system at one time that was kind of a mixture of Mormonism and mysticism and the occult and things like that. And in the past, I was invited to become a polygamist. I was offered.
You should have done it.
I don't know, man. I don't know. At least at that time, I wasn't ready to do anything like that. But so anyway, I had a background in Mormon fundamentalism, and I've read as much on Mormonism as probably anybody else out there.
So that attracted you to Colorado City then?
Yeah. So I was touring through the area, and I stopped in to Colorado City a couple of years ago on one of my first tours, just out of curiosity. Actually, it was my very first tour. I stopped in out of curiosity and threw on a long sleeve shirt, and tried to blend in and walked around town. And I ended up going to this beautiful, beautiful place in Colorado City called Maxwell Park.
See, and I've never been to Colorado City. I mean, what is it like? I mean, is it like a normal town? I mean, it's making me sound ignorant, probably.
No, not really. I mean, it's different because it's...
is it gated, walled? I just imagine this like big wall.
Well, a lot of people refer to it as a compound, which isn't accurate. It's a town. It's just a town. But it is unique because the whole town was founded from its inception on the principle of plural marriage. So the whole reason Colorado City exists was to keep polygamy alive. When the mainstream Mormon church ended polygamy, which they taught was one of the essential doctrines to exaltation or the highest realms of heaven, probably around half of the Mormon membership at that time had a serious problem with it. Many of them decided to keep the principle, as they call it, to keep it alive on their own. And they claimed the authority to do that was granted in a secret meeting by the president of the Mormon Church, John Taylor. So they moved to southern Utah, which at that point was Mexico. and they kept their thing going. And for nearly 100 years, Mormon polygamy flourished on the Utah-Arizona state line. So you have the town of Colorado City, which is collectively called Short Creek. So that's Colorado City, Arizona, Hilldale, Utah, which are combined in one town called Short Creek. And then down the road, there's a break-off group of the FLDS called Centennial Park, which is also Mormon fundamentalist, but under a different priesthood authority. So similar concepts, but slight variations in the way they practice it. So when Warren Jeffs, who's become very well known due to his, his incarceration and his crimes, when he came to power, in the fundamentalist movement, he radicalized it. I've heard from many people in the community that before his time, things were a lot different. They dressed modestly, but that's when the prairie dresses came around.
It was from Warren Jeffs brought out the prairie dress.
Yeah, and music was highly restricted to religious music. Statues of former leaders were destroyed. Church services became more frequent. Prayer every hour. It just became more radicalized. Marriages increased, especially for Warren himself. He had upwards of 80 wives, and I've met some of the women that were his wives, and I'm friends with some of them now. And anyway, I went through town and knew a lot about it, so I went up to the park, Maxwell Park, to answer your question on what the place looks like.
Yeah,
it's I think Colorado City is one of the prettiest areas in Utah. It's literally on the backside of Zion National Park. So picture huge red cliffs, green meadows, beautiful canyons that are very well, how would you put it? That they're very, very lush. There's a lot of water in the canyons there. There is actually a canyon called Water Canyon, which is one of the most amazing hikes I've personally been on. There's arches out there. There's coral pink sand dunes. There's a lot of potential in the area for tourism, honestly. Yeah. But people don't go there because they believe it's a compound and that outsiders are not welcome, where that's actually not been my experience at all. Every time I've gone there, as long as I've been respectful and at least tried to dress somewhat modestly, long sleeve shirt,
So no super short shorts.
Yeah, I don't normally wear a mini skirt when I go there, but if I wanted to, I have seen transsexual teenagers walking around town.
Really?
Yeah, there's a thriving little community of LGBT youth there. Believe it or not, it's interesting. Yeah, it's got the same things any other town does, the same vibrant cultures and the same problems as well. There's imagine there's drug use and things like that going on. But there hasn't been much music, and I found myself in a position where I was able to put on a couple concerts there. So I've played there twice at a place called Berry Knoll Bakery, which is a family-owned little bakery that's run by a woman named Gwen Darger, and she's a 21-year-old businesswoman who grew up out there. Real intelligent, awesome lady. I sat with her and her husband the other night, talked for hours. Just really cool people, and they love celebration and music. So they said, you know what? Come play at our bakery. So we've had 2 shows there that have been free, and we've had a great turnout, and it's been really cool. And it kind of evolved into the idea of putting on a music festival. So October 15th, we're going to have a free music festival at this Maxwell Park, and it's right there in Hilldale, Utah. And there's plenty of space, plenty of parking. It's a huge field, big green field with a big red rock cliff behind it. We've got a company called Heart of Dixie that is providing a massive stage, sound system, lights, pyrotechnics, the whole deal. We've got Tony Holiday and the Velvetones, Canyons, Candy's River House, Highway Thieves, Lauren Walker Madsen and the Hustlers, myself, and probably a few other bands that are going to come play. The whole first half of the day is going to be local people. We're going to do like a karaoke stage. We're going to have vendors. We currently have a GoFundMe campaign that you can find.
Yeah, well, I'll put the link at iamsaltlake.com with this episode.
Cool.
Because what is the GoFundMe doing? What is that?
It's to raise money to pay the bands.
Okay.
So because of my experience with this, I've been able to put on the festival for very, very little money. And all the bands are excited to come play and have offered their services at a much discounted rate than they normally would charge. And that's one thing that we want to make sure is that we pay all the bands. So they've all agreed to, to a reasonable rate. So we're raising the money to pay the bands. All the funds we're raising is going back into the bands, and that's our only expense. We've arranged basically everything else without incurring a cost. And we're currently raising sponsorships, corporate ones from the local area. We're waiting to hear back from Wells Fargo Bank and a couple other larger institutions.
So how much is the festival going to cost to go to then?
Go to?
Is there any idea, or you haven't set a price?
It's going to be
yet?
free.
Oh, the festival's free.
The whole festival's
so, like,
free.
I can go down there, come down October 15th.
Yep, October 15th. It'll start at 11 a.m. and go till a little after dark. There's tons of areas down there to camp. I'm going to be getting more information on where people can camp, but there won't be any charges for anything other than what people choose to purchase from our vendors. So there'll be food, drink. There won't be any alcohol. Unfortunately, at this time, it's illegal to sell alcohol in Colorado city limits and in Hilldale as well. But it's quite likely that that will change in the future.
Sure.
So.
And in camping spots, though, should people reserve spots for this? Or
no, I don't think they'll have to. I still have some work to do on determining where to camp, but literally 3 miles up the road is the famous Gooseberry Mesa and the Smithsonian Butte.
Sure.
So it's world-class camping out there, and a lot of people already Southern Utah's full of just BLM land where people camp, So we're definitely going to embrace the whole leave no trace philosophy, but I've organized a team of youth from the community that are going to be in charge of cleanup, organization, setup, breakdown, and the community's really strongly behind us in organizing.
Yeah, well, because I'm asking because I would like to come.
Yeah.
I'm planning on coming. I'm in October
awesome.
15th. I mean, I already have it marked on my calendar.
Cool.
That's what I'm trying to figure out to prepare for this. I mean, we want to get people from all over coming in from this, not even just Salt Lake City.
Yep. All over, yeah.
I mean, is there a website or
the website's
Facebook?
being built right now.
I guess Facebook with you would be the best way to connect.
Well, there's a
with
Facebook
that.
page for the festival.
Okay.
It's Colorado City Music Festival on Facebook. And as we get closer, we'll be loading videos of the bands performing and list of vendors and lineup and, all the normal festival things. We'll also have all the camping information and everything on there and our list of sponsors. So, we got a little ways to go, but
Is there motels or anything in Colorado City?
Oh, it's a good question. There is one.
Really?
And it is one of the coolest places you could ever imagine staying.
Because I was going to say maybe some people would want to stay at the motel.
There is a place
versus
there.
Camping.
And it actually gets a lot of visitors. There is one very large, I think it's a 23 or 26 room bed and breakfast.
Wow.
You want to hear about that?
Let's hear about it, man. I love your stories.
All right. After Warren Jeffs was put on the #1 most wanted list by the FBI, he was arrested about 10 or 11 years ago in Las Vegas. He was caught, on the run, and he's now in prison for the rest of his life because he had underage brides that he was having sex with, and that's illegal, So he's in prison for the rest of his life. He still is the prophet of the fundamentalist Latter-day Saints. And although many people are leaving the faith, there still are a lot of followers, and the religion is becoming more and more strict and adamant about their following their prophet. So one of the revelations that Warren Jeffs gave to his followers a couple years ago was that if they would build him a mega mansion to his exact specifications in 90 days. They had 90 days to accomplish this. If they built it exactly the way he decreed, then the prison in Texas that he's housed in would fall to the ground in an earthquake and he would be released and he would walk home. So his followers raised, I don't know how many millions of dollars, bled the community dry of money, and they built this elaborate walled in compound mansion in the heart of town. And again, it's got 23 or 26, something like that, bedrooms. I've been all through it. Did a tour of it the other day. obviously Warren Jeffs did not get out of prison. He's still in prison for the rest of his life. He never will get out. So this house, this mega mansion, it's sat. It's now the property of Warren Jeffs' previous bodyguard who's left the religion. And his name is Willie Jessup. And it is now known as America's Most Wanted Bed and Breakfast.
Wow.
And people who want to come stay at the festival can reserve rooms there.
Yeah, I was going to say, that sounds
And the prices are pretty reasonable. And this place is quite luxurious. I mean, it was made to the exact specifications of a man who believed he was a prophet of God.
So it's a pretty new motel then.
Yeah, it's pretty
place.
new.
I mean, this is great because I want to visit Colorado City anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So go down there for the music festival, check it out. How far of a drive is it from like Salt Lake?
So from Salt Lake, it is about 4.5 hours.
It's not bad.
No, it's not too bad. And the drive is beautiful. So you go straight down I-15 south until you get to the Hurricane exit,
Sure.
which is about 15 miles north of St. George. Take the Hurricane exit, go all the way down to Main Street, Hurricane, and you would make a left to go to Zion National Park. But there's a little park there on the corner, and there's a sign that says Grand Canyon and Colorado City to the right. Take that right, and then you'll just follow the left all the way up through the mountains. You'll climb an elevation, and you'll go about 22 miles. And then you'll just be out in the middle of the desert, and suddenly you'll start seeing beautiful red cliffs starting to form, and then there'll be a little town, and that's it. It's Colorado City. It's the only town out there.
Any idea on the population of Colorado City?
You know, the media, which likes to greatly exaggerate all things related to Colorado City, claims that the FLDS has 10,000 followers, around that number, with the majority of them in Colorado City. I've been out there a lot, and I don't think that's anywhere near accurate. I can't say how many people live there. There's 2 high schools. Now there's 2 public schools that have started in the recent years, and they're putting in a library. And I've been told that between both high schools, there's probably around 700 students. And then you have to think of the FLDS population, which mostly homeschools their kids. And then the Centennial Park group has their own school. And then the parents of these kids. So I'd say in the total area, with the Centennial Park, the FLDS, and then what the people call the community of Short Creek, the people who are no longer part of the religion.
Yeah.
There might be 7,000-8,000 people out there, but it sure does seem that there's not nearly that many.
Wow.
But they're pretty cool people, man. A lot of the people I've met out there are they're just like hardworking country people. A lot of them have a really good sense of humor.
Sure.
And, you know, a lot of them their lives have changed very drastically in the last. You know, I've met people that have left the religion 6 months ago. I've met people that have left it 10 years ago. And, you know, they just move on with life. But they have a strong sense of community. They're really cool.
And that's hard to find these days.
Oh, yeah.
It is really hard to find.
So we're shooting
days.
a documentary about all this. And we aren't mentioning polygamy or plural marriage or any of that stuff at all.
Why is that?
Because we feel that the story is moving into new territory. So the angle that we're taking in our documentary, which we haven't named yet, but we have a trailer for it on our GoFundMe site.
I actually watched that the other day.
Cool.
Fantastic. I'll try to get the link on
the film crew
with
is
this as well.
Amazing. They're called Black Pond Media. They're from Park City, and they're top notch. And
how did you get connected with that to do that with them?
I met them through a lady named Jen Mason,
who
we did a show with maybe 2 years ago, and she works with them through a company called Unique to Utah. And
I'm familiar with them.
Sundance.
I'm familiar with them. Yeah,
good people. So,
and they just wanted to do this documentary with you, right? They just wanted to do it.
I think I initially reached out to Jen, and she had the contact, and she said, "Come meet him at Sundance." We met, and then once they heard the full story, they're like, "We got to be involved." And I said, "Okay, here's the deal. It's been a process to earn the trust of the people of Colorado City, and they've been greatly exploited by the media. They're treated as if they were a freak show. The people who are leaving the religion, all they care about is their town and their families, and they just want to build local industry, local community, local tourism, and turn this town into something that it really is, a beautiful place. And that's all they care about. They want to start businesses, get people coming in to enjoy the beauty of the area, you know, so on and so forth. So I said, if we're going to do this documentary, we can't sensationalize. What we need to focus on is the fact that there's a very unique all-American town on the Utah-Arizona border that has developed its own culture and its own history. And unfortunately, music has not been a part of that history for quite a few years, but it used to be. It used to be a pivotal part of the community. There's a lot of people down there that can play some great instruments. So this is the story of a town that 98% of the businesses are local, and you won't find that anywhere. And a town where the people literally run the town. You know, they're creating their own government and their own chambers of commerce, and they all communicate, and it's really cool. So we're bringing a music festival to that. And that's the angle we're going with our documentary. Because
and when is this documentary going to be finished up? Probably after the music festival.
Yeah,
then
we're hoping to wrap it up just, shortly after the festival. And it's kind of, we didn't go into it with a solid blueprint other than what I just shared. We don't really know the direction it's going to go.
And that makes maybe the best video because you don't know where it's going to go.
Mm-hmm. And they sent me out with a camera. So I film a variety of things. We've interviewed people in the community. We've shot beautiful aerial footage of town. They've filmed 2 of my concerts there. And we've got some beautiful footage. One of the best shots that I thought we had was this woman who was probably in her late 60s came in, and she was wearing the prairie dress and, just this quiet older woman. And she was at the concert, and at first she was just kind of sitting there straight faced, and halfway into the concert, she was clapping and smiling, and all the little kids were dancing, and it was just a really joyous occasion. And she came up to me afterwards, and she told me how when she was a teenager, she used to sit in her closet and quietly listen to country radio on a transistor radio and trying not to get caught by her family. And she said after she was a teenager, she didn't listen to music for years and years up until
she was a rebel, man. She was sneaking it behind their back.
Yeah. And she was at the concert, and it was really cool because that's why we want to play there. It's why we want to bring music there, because a lot of people there haven't had it in forever. Most of the people at this concert had never been to a show.
So when you brought it into that bakery, right? It was a bakery the first time. Was there a sense of nervousness there, like that you would get caught, or was everybody pretty cool with that? You didn't really mention too much of that because there was no music in the town, and then all of a sudden you're playing music. I mean, everybody was okay with that?
Yeah, I wondered how that would go at first too. I didn't know because I asked,
like you weren't going to get or something.
No, no, I didn't think that was a possibility at any point. There is a sheriff's department there that is mostly members of the FLDS, but they're not very powerful anymore because of recent FBI raids and things that have taken place, and the government and the whole town is being configured governmentally right now.
Sure.
So there's a lot going on that's very complicated that I'm not really qualified to speak on. But so we weren't worried about that. But I did ask the lady who owned the bakery, I said, should we have 1 or 2 guys patrol the parking lot and make sure no one gets their tires cut? Or because I'd heard things on the news about FLDS people cutting tires and stuff. And she laughed and she was like, that's not going to happen. Everything's going to be fine. We're free to do what we want to do. And she says, you have to understand, most of what is from the media's perspective, and that stuff, it's just not going to happen. So when we had the show, loads of people came out, and it was just, when I got there to set up an hour and a half early, the place was already filled with people.
Wow.
They were already sitting in their chairs waiting for the music, and it was awesome.
Because they were excited.
Yeah, it was literally one of the funnest shows I've ever played. Little children were up dancing and clapping. After every song, it was a standing ovation, and I played for 2 hours. And at the end of the night, they were like, keep playing, keep playing. Little kids were coming up to me and hugging me and not letting me go and looking up and crying and telling me thank you. It was extremely touching. It was what music's supposed to do, and it was awesome. And the film crew, I discounted my merchandise really cheaply so everyone could afford something if they wanted it. And the film crew bought up tons of t-shirts and gave them to the kids. And the bakery makes everything homemade. In this town, they have a do-it-yourself mentality. If it's not homemade and it's not top quality, they will not touch it. So everything was homemade, and the film crew bought tons of bakery goods and were giving them out to people at the show. And it was just a community event, and it was really cool. It was free, of course, for everybody to come out.
You might have mentioned when we first started talking, I can't remember, is anybody helping you put this festival together then, or are you doing it all by yourself?
Yeah, they are now. It started, just with my efforts. And at first I just kind of winged it. I would get online and be like, how to throw a music festival on Google,
Well, why, the internet's right there, man.
Yeah. And then I would just like go look at other festivals and just try to figure it out the best I could. And then,
well, just because I asked, because I mean, you're on the road, you're traveling, and it's like you're expected to tour, to get married.
I was pretty nervous about a week ago. I was like, man, what's going to happen? It's all going to fall apart in the cracks while I'm gone. So what I did was I put together a street team of high school age youth from the community. And that's how, when I mentioned before, there's like a group of LGBT kids out there, and there's even one or two transgendered kids that I've met in Colorado City. And it's just, I don't know, there's a lot of cool like young people that they don't have a lot to do because it's a really small town. And they tell me that they're very loved and cared for in their community, and they're not judged, and they're treated fairly, which I think is amazing just because it's a small town, you know what I mean? And sometimes in small towns, people get marginalized, and they told me out there that doesn't happen, that people just love them for who they are and treat them like family, and it's really cool. So anyway, I posted on Facebook. Since I've been playing out there, I've been added on Facebook by probably 100 or so people
from Colorado City.
Yeah, from Colorado City.
They're allowed to have Facebook there.
Well, that's the thing. The people that I'm dealing with are all people that are no longer part of any religious group.
But they're still living in Colorado City. Wow.
Yeah, they still live there, but they've all either, well, I can't say they're not part of any religious group. They've either left the LDS on their own, FLDS, sorry. They've either left the FLDS on their own accord, or they've been expelled from the religion, cast out, kicked out, And the others are from the Centennial Park group, which is just a lot more moderate. They listen to music. They don't have arranged marriages per se. They're just, a lot more liberal in some ways, even though they're still very conservative.
Okay.
But music and celebration is a big part of their culture and lifestyle. So I have a group of teenagers that we made a street team. And I said, look, I need somebody to run this street team. If anybody would like to offer their help, contact me. And it was literally 2 minutes later that this girl named Zoe Darger, who's got like piercings in her lip, purple mohawk, she's a freshman in high school. She contacted me. She's like, I can do it. And I was like, well, that's what I like to hear. Awesome. So I just started emailing her, and I'm like, put me in touch with your parents. Because you're an underage kid. And I have a background with the Boys and Girls Club. So I wanted to make sure everything was out in the open. Her mother was very excited about her being involved. And so Zoe took over and organized more kids. And they all came and met with me. And I gave them an opportunity to all say who they are and their background. And I let them know who I was. And we just kind of hang out and drank some coffee and had a little meeting and talked about what their duties would be, and we're going to get them custom printed T-shirts, CDs with all the music. The bakery's going to hook them up with pizzas for helping out, and they're going to be kind of the foot soldiers to help set up, break down. Right now, they're focusing on marketing it on the internet to all their friends, and then the lady who runs the bakery is also part of the local Chamber of Commerce. So she's kind of bridging the gaps between the Chamber of Commerce and me, so we can do the festival and have the support of the whole town. And they're all stoked on it.
Dude, it sounds like it sounds already well put together.
Yeah, it's coming along.
This is many months away.
Yeah.
Has media latched onto this at all?
A little bit. Not as much as I would like to. I've sent out a lot of press releases to like NPR's All Things Considered. They actually wrote me back and said they were going to present it to a board and see if they, if they got a vote on it, and if it passed the vote, then they could put it on the show. I could totally see this being a story that would be of national interest,
So the media is, going to come to town. Are people willing to talk in this town? Or people like even myself, if I was to bring my recording stuff down there, do you think people would talk to me?
Yeah, some definitely would, you know what I mean? But it's all about, what do you want to talk about? You know what I mean? Like if you're going to talk about the past, then probably not. But if you wanted to talk about, where do you see this town going? Oh man, they just open up and they've got all kinds of ideas and plans.
Yeah.
And they come from a mentality called United Order, where it's based on a Mormon theocratic communist ideal. that they believe is the highest level of heaven, where everybody's in it together on every level. So even when they leave these religious groups that they've been a part of, they still have a very strong sense of community. So at first, they're a little closed off, No, I wouldn't say rude or anything like that. Just normal small town, like, well, we don't know this guy. But
so they're very protective.
Yeah, their town has been portrayed in a certain light, and they just think, a lot of people there think that anyone who comes in is going to be like just looking to exploit and whatever. They've been let down by the media a lot of times. So when somebody like me comes around, I had to break a lot of ice. But as soon as I played music there and they got to see who I was, and they knew that I understood the culture of the area, but I wasn't there to talk about that, then they were just like, oh, we welcome, And like I said, like 100 of them or so have added me on Facebook. I've been like invited to like secret Facebook groups where they like handle details of the town. Like some lady got lost out there the other day, and they put together a community search party within like 10 minutes. Like these people are like super tight knit, but not in the bad way. Like in the way that if you needed something and you're part of this community, they'll come together big time.
You don't find that very often.
No, they build each other's houses.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing. Like every Saturday, they used to have a thing, and I think a lot of the people who leave the religion still do similar things where if you're part of the FLDS faith, on Saturdays, they do this work program where they'll all come to your place and they'll help you with whatever you need. And the Amish do that too. And I think that's a great idea, no matter what community you're in. They just, whether you need a house built or a room added onto your house, or you need whatever, you need a baby delivered, like they'll do it,
Well, cool, man. I'll get the links for Colorado City Music Festival.
Yeah.
On the website with this as well. Well, what's in store for Tom Bennett? I mean, do you have a recording? I mean, new recording? I mean, you plan on going back to the studio at all?
I've got a load of songs I haven't recorded yet. That's a good thing about the way I tour and the way I live is there's always new material.
Yeah.
And I kind of like just take notes along the way, and, things I see inspire the songs and things I experience. I made a point in the very beginning to only write about the truth, whatever I would really experience on the road, because I found there's like this radio folk music where everyone thinks like, hey, all the claps and the hey yelling, and it's this like pop folk, and it's all like these elaborate stories that are like totally made up. And I'm just like, man, there's enough real things going on to sing about in the world that
why not write about that?
Yeah, like just simple things too. It doesn't have to be like some grandiose mission. It could just be like, a trip to the Indian reservation in Arizona and just the people that you meet, or driving your car off a cliff on accident or whatever,
Sure.
Just the people and the stories of America, that are out there happening all around you. So I've got a new album that came out last summer. It's called Live in Colorado, and I've been touring on that one. So I have 2 albums out, The Man Who Shook the Trail, The Devil's Hounds, and then the new one, Live in Colorado. And then, I have a bunch more songs I plan to record at this studio down in Tokerville, Utah. And I'll probably get to that in the fall. And, the documentary, and then this tour that'll start this weekend, that'll go all the way through August. I got picked up by a really solid booking agent who, is really, really good on the West Coast. So she's been building up I don't know what you'd call it, my presence or whatever. So, I've got some bigger and better shows, because I've definitely put in the work. I've played a lot of
Is it just
bars.
too hard to do it all on your own?
Oh,
I mean, to be traveling and emailing and book. I mean, because you're on social media. I mean, you're out there, but it's just too difficult to do it on your own. Huh?
I put in a lot of work. I mean, like the only reason I'm so successful as I have been is I do it full time. Like last night I stayed up till 4 a.m. sending emails. You know what I mean? Like, and got up and got right back to work. I was on the computer all day sending out press releases. I could talk to National Geographic people today. Like I sent out stuff to NPR,
So you're probably sending out a lot, but only getting a little bit back.
Yeah. It's just all about who you know.
Does that get frustrating to you?
Oh, it totally does. It totally does. And I always ask people for help, and people are very helpful. And, I firmly believe that what I'm doing is worthwhile. And it is catching on, and it has been successful. So I view it as I can continue to make thousands of little moves, or I can get smarter and I can build a network and I can embrace a vision that's a lot bigger than who I am and try to do things like the Colorado City Music Festival and, nationwide tours, and just find different movements and things to be involved with, different organizations and things like that. And then naturally people are going to want to help me because it's not about me anymore. It's bigger. So that's what I'm working on, and I probably won't be able to continue to tour this way forever. I mean, like I said, I'm getting married. We're looking to buy a house. We're probably going to move to Colorado City, and try to get involved in the community there because I'm still into sustainability. And I see that town as having more potential for sustainability than anywhere else I've ever lived. And I've got a lot of visions for that town that I want to unify with people who already live there and make it actually a blueprint for a new America.
It's probably pretty cheap to live there, so you could tour and not have a huge expense.
It's a lot less expensive, but it's also small town and it's very localized. So, I want to move it there and become part of the Chamber of Commerce and encourage a standard where there's no outside business. It's all local, and show people how a town can do that, and then document it with our video series and our documentary and show how anybody can take their small town America and literally expel the corporate businesses and do everything local to where your butcher, your baker, and your cabinet maker are your neighbors, and everybody works together in a communal system. Because honestly, that was the American way up until about 1950. You know what I mean? Like you think about like people like, oh, urban gardening, that's so radical. It is. And it's unique, but everybody had gardens up until like the 50s.
Can you imagine living in a world like that though?
Yeah,
like
I think we're
very, very, localized without all the Walmarts.
Well, that's happening.
And the big
it's happening
chain
all
stores.
over the place. That's one of the coolest things I see as I travel is this buy local movement is starting to really take on everywhere.
Sure.
Like, I mean, I've been to little towns that like, what is it? Somewhere I went in Oregon, outside of Eugene, Springfield, Oregon.
Beautiful place,
Right
by the way. I know exactly where Gold Hill. Did you remember Gold Hill? Did you go through a town called Gold Hill?
Maybe.
Beautiful little town.
Yeah,
I think it's not too far from there.
It's a super green, beautiful area. But that town, I noticed there were no chains. There's no chains there. And I asked the guy who lived there, and he says, "Oh, it's just always been our policy." I was like, "That's awesome." So like, they got a cafe there called the Busy Bee. I always eat at. Busy Bee Cafe has been open since the early 50s, and it's still thriving. And when you go there, your servers, your staff, they all live in that neighborhood. Like they all know each other, like from birth. You know what I mean? And it's not it's a relatively big town. You know what I mean? And so there are towns out there that really focus on that. And local business, because the quality that local businesses can create is substantially greater than what a box, company, cookie cutter corporation can create, because it's a craft, know, and people are embracing that everywhere. And I think it literally started to catch on with the craft beer movement, and now it's spreading into other things.
Right
so
on.
Beer kind of saved America.
Thank God, right?
Right.
Tom Bennett.
Now hemp's doing the same, and it's just spreading.
Tom Bennett Music, that's Facebook. That's where you're on Facebook.
Yeah,
People
I think I'm going to have to change it soon. I got a notification yesterday. Facebook was like, send us a picture of your ID because your name looks a little funny. So it's going to be Tom Bennett something. And then the website is Tom Bennett, BENNETT, onemanband.com. There's tons of music videos on there that people have shot for me all around the country. And I'll probably put out a DVD soon of all the music videos. And like I said, Black Pond Media gave me a really nice HD camera, so I'm going to be filming this whole next tour.
Cool.
And we're going to go through Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, the Deep South, Savannah, Georgia. We're going we're going to see some really cool places, and I intend on filming as much of it as I can.
You got to make it to all 50 states.
I hope to
instead
eventually.
of just 43, like you said, right?
Well, I've been told that there's some places in Hawaii that I can go play, and
could you imagine that, man, on the beach?
dude, it might happen if this lady named Kimberly Albro gets on the ball. Come on, Kimberly. That's a lady that helps me out in Colorado with some booking, and then and then I've been more and more having places in Alaska put on my radar, and Montana, a couple places I haven't been to.
What about Canada? Get up through Canada?
A friend of mine, Lauren Walker Madsen, did a tour of Canada last year and said it was phenomenal. And I've got a couple, a year and a half ago, somebody sent me a newspaper article that I made some newspaper in Tokyo.
Sure.
I didn't know anything about that. And it was because I played with a jazz band in San Francisco that was from Tokyo. And they loved my music and went back and somehow got me an article in Tokyo. Like, you don't know. I mean, there's just...
You don't know who that one person out there that's listening is.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
I hear that time and time again. It's like people get frustrated. Oh, there was only 10 people there. There was only 10 people listening. Well, one of those people could be...
Yeah.
You don't know.
Yeah, and the key is, like, if you're making art, you're just going to do it anyway.
Sure.
You know what I mean? People who create art are going to create it anyway because they can't help it. They're just a vessel for what they're a vessel for, and it's going to come through them either way. So as long as you keep creating your art and involving other people in it, showing it to people, sharing it to people, whether it be music or something tangible, whatever, if you just keep making it, you're going to have some level of success with it, and I think you just got to pursue it as hard as you can and just kind of make it to where, like, I don't feel like I work hard, although I do, because
you enjoy it. You actually enjoy your work.
Just pursuing what I would do naturally, and as long as it happens naturally, it's going to keep moving forward.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming back and chatting on the podcast. Anything else you want to add before I think you got most of it.
I think so, I rambled at you for a long while.
Like I said, it was episode 138.
What are you up to now?
I just recently posted 220.
Nice.
So, I mean, that was a while back.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, people can kind of go back and hear your story, hear kind of where you started and led up to today. So,
yeah,
we'll end it there then, I guess. I mean, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I've been looking forward to it for quite a while.
No, I know. We've been, kind of going back and forth, and so thank you very much.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for having me, and I appreciate you coming to shows whenever you can. And
I enjoy them, man.
Chris comes out to a lot of shows. It's really cool to see him there, and if you listen to the podcast, share it with friends. It's a local thing, and it's awesome, man. He has great people on the podcast all the time, and it's local, and, we got to be supportive of all that.
All right. What a fantastic conversation with Tom Bennett. I do want to make a couple of pointers that I didn't make at the very beginning. This conversation was actually recorded quite a few weeks ago. It was before his wedding, and it was before he went on tour. But I've had just such a backlog of conversations.
Yeah, you talked to too many cool people.
Well, there's been so many rad people doing cool things here in Salt Lake City, and so this conversation with Tom was a few weeks ago. So I want to apologize to Tom that I didn't get it up sooner. But I'm going to put links for his website and Facebook at iamsaltlake.com. So head on over there to iamsaltlake.com/228 for episode 228. Connect with Tom. If you're listening to this outside of Utah, go check him out. Go see him play. If you are in Salt Lake City and you have not seen him play, please do it.
Yeah, you guys, if you get a chance, this guy is really amazing.
He really is. I mean, he's got a great voice, and his setup with his, I don't know all the technicalities.
It's pretty fun to watch. He does
music. He's got his little suitcase turned into a drum bass or something.
Yeah, he turned a suitcase into a drum, and he plays how many instruments at one time?
A ton. Harmonica, tambourines.
It's crazy fun to
all
watch.
Kinds of, buy a CD. You can buy him online. You can listen to his music online. Again, iamsaltlake.com is going to have all of that. But Chrissy and myself, we want to start talking a little bit about what we've been up to here in Salt Lake City. For those of you just tuning in, Chrissy's the new co-host. Anyway, Chrissy and myself, we've been up to all kinds of. Chrissy, you actually just had a birthday a couple days ago.
I'm getting old.
You're getting old, and it kind of made for a very long weekend.
Yeah, very event filled.
A few things I want to mention. So Connect happened last Friday, which once a month I've been going and doing a live podcast recording, and we invite the public out. Anybody's welcome to come. We do it the second Friday at the Urban Arts Gallery in the Gateway, right downtown. But this last Friday, Chrissy, you came in and helped co-host that.
I did. I got to sit in and have a chat.
And I want to say you did a bang-up job.
Oh,
I think
thanks.
sometimes you sell yourself way too short with this stuff.
Well, artists fascinate me, so it was a lot of fun.
Which is great for me because I don't really know anything about art.
Yeah.
I'm not an art expert. I try to learn, and art fascinates me. But you definitely have some great questions for that. That will be in an upcoming episode. So make sure to subscribe to the podcast. That way you don't miss that one. But
fun.
Justin from Bad Parenting Podcast came to town.
He did. We've just spent a few days hanging out.
Yeah, he is. He's based out of Portland, and for fans of the podcast that are part of the Mediocre Nation, I'm sure that you've heard Eric talk about Bad Parenting, and if you haven't, go check it out. Bad Parenting Podcast. You can listen to it in iTunes. But he came to town. We got to hang out. Let's see. He came to the Connect show.
Yeah.
As well as after that, we went to Lucky 13. And
we had to get him a Lucky 13 burger.
Yeah, well,
obviously.
he's been hearing so much talk about that between all the different podcasts.
You can't come to Salt Lake and not have a Lucky 13 burger.
What's your favorite burger from Lucky 13,
man,
Chrissy?
that's really hard. The peanut butter burger is really good.
Before I eliminated,
really
gluten and bread out of my diet, that was my favorite burger to just sit down and just get messy with it.
It's surprisingly delicious.
But so we went there, and then Saturday night we met up with some other folks at Poplar. That's where the evening started.
Kind of ended up bar hopping.
Yeah, we wanted to show Justin a good time here in Salt Lake City and show him around, and so we got to meet. We met some new listeners.
We did.
Well, not they're old listeners, but they're
we
new.
had never met them.
Yeah, they're new to us.
Yeah. We met some who actually were fans of our previous podcast also.
Yeah, so it was good to meet them and connect with them, and
it was a lot of fun.
We ended the night at Broovies.
Yeah, I think
I scared our Lyft driver.
You did scare our Lyft driver. It was so amazing.
You get a few drinks in me, and
Chris is a good time, you guys.
Well, yeah. Anyway, so I want to check out Bad Parenting Podcast, and it was awesome to hang out with Justin over the weekend.
Really fun.
And Urban Flea Market was today.
Yeah, we took Justin there too.
Yeah, we took Justin there too. I want to tell a little bit. Okay, so we actually took pictures of the May Urban Flea Market. I think you took those pictures, actually, Chrissy.
I think both of us.
Yeah, a combination. So head on over to the website, and you can see the pictures. If
you can kind of get a feel for the vendors there.
If you haven't been to Urban Flea Market, might I suggest you do it? I believe it goes on through October, but it's 600 South Main Street, right in downtown. It's free. It's open to the public.
It's like once a month, right?
Yeah, with the second Sunday.
Okay.
And which is a great Sunday activity. Not a lot going on here on Sunday, which I want to tell people, support businesses that are open on Sunday. I know I've gotten crap for that, but I think it's important for businesses, especially in Salt Lake City, to be open on Sunday because
there's so few of them.
There's so few of them, and some of us like to get out and do things on Sunday.
Yeah, it's a nice, relaxing day.
And so anyway, Urban Flea Market. This is a great event. Go check it out. There's a lot of fun vendors there. And I want to talk about the GoFundMe, though.
Yes.
That's going on. You pushed me to do this.
I did. I'm so pushy.
Well, you came into the podcast, Chrissy, and that's one thing I like about you with the show is you're just like, let's get it done. Let's do this. Your microphones are falling apart, Chris. So this is what happened. I do this show every week. Mm-hmm. I've been doing it for almost 4 years.
Yeah.
Every week. And I just kind of make do with what I got.
Right.
And, the microphones are going out, the microphone stands.
It's been kind of tough.
The cable cords are squeak. I mean, it's just, I need everything. I just need a brand new setup of everything. And, I'm getting nervous because I'm like, I can't keep doing this on my own.
Yeah.
I've gotten a few things here and there, but nothing really substantial to support a podcast of this caliber.
Mm-hmm. And you end up, 4 years of usage, that really will beat up the equipment.
It will, because I go in and out of buildings.
Yeah. You're traveling, visiting people, taking your setups to their places a lot of the time.
So we set up a GoFundMe. If you go to iamsaltlake.com/GoFundMe, all one word, even if you can only donate $1, I'm serious.
Yeah.
It will mean the world to me.
It really would, you guys.
And then we have some different tiers, I guess it would be.
Yeah.
Of
different rewards.
Different awards. Well, because I was like, I want to give something back to people. They can become a sponsor of the podcast, kind of like some of the names that I mentioned at the beginning. Where if you're a business, this is a great chance to sponsor the podcast. So again, iamsaltlake.com/GoFundMe. Please help keep I Am Salt Lake alive. And moving forward, be part of the community.
Yeah. Let's keep making awesome stuff.
Well, and that's
together.
That's why I'm glad you're part of it now, Chrissy, because I can't do it alone.
You can't. It's just too much.
And so I know we've mentioned this in other episodes. Mm-hmm. We're also both of us want to see some blog posts go up, some writing.
Yes.
So if you're doing anything in Salt Lake City that you want to write something about, maybe you're going to a play or an event.
We would love to have contributors.
Yeah, Chrissy and myself can't do it all.
Right.
And we can't be at everything.
We've got full-time jobs. We can't really follow everything that's happening.
So drop an email to us, either myself, Chris at iamsaltlake.com or Chrissy at iamsaltlake.com, and let us know what that maybe you want to be part of the contributing I Am Salt Lake team. I don't know. We're working with some ideas. Again, Crucial Fest is going on this week, so make sure to check that out, crucialfest.com. Hey, you know what? I want to tell the listeners about Lyft.
Oh, yeah.
Lyft is a great way to get around Salt Lake City. Get rid of the taxi cabs. We don't need them.
They're way expensive.
You're going to wait an hour if you call up a taxi cab service. With Lyft, you can get a ride a lot of times downtown in 1 to 3 minutes. I kid you not. So what you want to do, get your smartphone out, download the Lyft app in your app store. It's LYFT. Enter in the promo code IAMSaltLake. This is going to give you $50 in ride credit. Okay? So, but you have to make sure to do it before you request your first ride. Then when you need to go out bar hopping with your friends, maybe you want to go to Park City, maybe you want to even come up from Provo. Maybe you live down in Provo. You could take a Lyft from Provo to Salt Lake. This is a great way to get around town, not just Salt Lake City.
I've actually used it. I downloaded Lyft,
you never had it on your phone.
Yeah, so I was like, I'll do the I Am Salt Lake thing. I'll get some free rides, and I've actually used it a ton.
Yeah,
it's been super awesome.
Because what does it do? It gives you $5 off of 10 rides.
Yeah.
So, a lot of these shorter rides in town are $5, so it ends up costing you 15 cents.
Yeah, I end up paying 15 cents. And you and I have we've gone, come back from bars. We've gone out to festivals.
Yeah.
Haven't had to drive or deal with parking.
Yeah, because you don't want to take the car, and you don't want to pay for parking. Maybe if you want to have a drink or two. So
it's really been one of the coolest things that I've done this summer.
Again, I Am Salt Lake, all one word. Enter it in before you request your ride. This is going to give you $50 in ride credit. Downtown Farmers Market.
Yeah,
that was just last, or
the first one,
first Saturday. At the time of this recording, it was yesterday.
Yeah,
but this is going on every Saturday.
It's so cool,
right in downtown Salt Lake City at Pioneer Park.
And even, this week, the first week it opened, it was pretty rainy, but that didn't deter anyone. There were tons of people there.
Any vendors that stuck out to you that you remember?
Oh man,
or am I putting you on the spot?
You are
Chrissy?
Putting me on the spot. There were so many cool things. I get distracted by all the pretty shiny. So I just had a good time.
So some of my favorites at Pioneer Park or at the downtown Farmers Market, you definitely have to stop by Peach Treats. Good friend Tiff Ballou. She's been on the podcast actually, and
I do want to check out her earrings.
Check out her earrings. Longtime friend of the show, longtime friend of myself. Another favorite, Kat Martin. She's there on Saturdays.
Altered Landscapes.
Yeah.
She's awesome.
Friend of the show. And then there's tons of food vendors. I grab some coffee, Frida Bistro, or, I go there, maybe get some breakfast.
Oh, yeah.
Music. So anyway, that's 8 to 2 in Pioneer Park. Get out and enjoy the city. I think that's it for this episode, Chrissy. I know you and we got a lot going on.
We do. We've just been out visiting and seeing everything. It's been a blast. Come out and see us,
Yeah, well, make sure to follow us on Facebook or Twitter. And follow our personal accounts. We'd like to connect with more of the listeners.
Definitely.
Because we want you to realize, we're just normal people like you are. But we're just kind of, this is our way of giving back something to Salt Lake City.
We really want to share how amazing the things in Salt Lake City are.
So yeah, if you see either of us out and about, come up and say hello.
For sure.
Let us know you're a listener.
Yeah.
What's your email, Chrissy? Let's say that again.
My email is chrissy@iamsaltlake.com. That's KRISSIE.
And then I'm Chris, CHRIS at iamsaltlake.com. If that's not enough to confuse you, right?
We're not confusing at all.
And then iamsaltlake.com is a website. I Am Salt Lake on Twitter. I Am Salt Lake on Facebook. I Am Salt Lake on Snapchat.
If you get confused, just Google I Am Salt Lake.
Yeah, just Google I Am Salt Lake, but also follow Chrissy on Twitter.
Yeah, for sure.
What's your Twitter handle?
Chrissy Tweets.
That's going to do it for this episode.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for listening. Make sure to subscribe in iTunes. We're also on Google Play now, Stitcher Radio. Tell your family and friends. Spread the word about this podcast, because if it doesn't grow, the podcast doesn't grow. So you all have a great week now. See you next time.